Life is good. My Mustang's running really good, 87 LX. So I ordered a new throttle body. Here it comes, just like that. Polished billet. God, it's beautiful. You know, it's the kind of thing you want to put on your coffee table for a week, even before you put it on your car. Just so you could turn it around and look at it. My God, that thing is like a piece of art. Michelangelo must have cut this one up. Okay, now you're going to put it on your car. You put it on your car, drive it around a little bit, and sometimes people call me and say, you know what, my car's idling too fast. What do I need to do? I'm going to tell you how to adjust this thing, because this thing is so easy to install, you can't believe it. But you got to know a few things, and I'm going to show you how to do them. Anybody can do this. Your wife can do this. No disrespect to your wife, by the way. Okay, there's 4 bolts that hold the old one on, 4 bolts that hold this one on. How tough is that? It's like going to Sears and buying a new pair of shoes. You don't even need to know which one is the left, which one is the right. It's pretty easy to install. You bolt the thing on. There's a couple of things you take off of your old throttle body to put on the new one. You take off the throttle position sensor, and you take off the IAC, idle air control motor. And you put it on this one. Okay, this is what the IAC looks like. Before I even bolt the thing on, I'm going to look on the inside of it here on the stock one. And I'm going to say, well, it kind of looks a little bit caked up in there. Maybe it's got some crud in there. If you want, you take a little brake fluid, not brake fluid, but brake cleaner or carb cleaner. You squirt it in there a little bit, let it soak a little bit, just blow it out. It's just an electronic valve, okay? Clean that thing up. These things almost never go bad. You bolt this thing on. How tough is this so far, right? Put it up like that. Bolt this thing on. Makes you feel like you're a hot rodder. You're actually doing work. Work on your car. Does anybody do that anymore? I have very educated fingers. I know how to do this. I don't even need a wrench. By the way, it comes. Our throttle bodies come with a new gasket, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, 50% done. Now, the other thing you're going to take off and put on is the throttle position sensor. What does this little gizmo do? That's the question. This thing is very, very important and has everything to do with your idle and the way your car runs. You see, when you step on the gas, your computer has no idea where your right foot is. It just doesn't know. There's no connection between your gas pedal and the computer except this little gizmo. And actually, it's the voltage that comes out of this little gizmo. So let me show you a couple of things about this, because this is a little bit more tricky, but like I said, your wife can do it. Put it on. It only fits on one way. It's got a little blade that sticks out here, and the blade intersects right here with this little thing in this little plastic deal. Fits right in. It's in. Okay? You put it on, a couple of screws, like this. By the way, we send you the screws too. Go down a little bit. Now, don't cinch it down, though. That's the trick. This thing needs to send a message to the computer on voltage, and it needs to say, with the key on and the engine not running, it needs to say 1 volt. Well, how do you know what the heck it is, right? What you have to have, or borrow, is a voltmeter. Everybody has a voltmeter. And then if you don't, you borrow one from the local gas station or from a friend. And these 3 wires, I can tell you exactly what these 3 wires are because they're color-coded. Isn't that convenient? This black wire is ground. This green wire is 12 volts. And this orange wire is a 5-volt reference. So what that means, and that has nothing to do with the way the car runs, that what that has to do with is how to set your voltmeters, because usually voltmeters have a variety of ranges. Now, I can't do anything with this because I don't have 12 volts, but I want to show you how you would do this. What I do when I do this is I take a a safety pin, because I don't like cobbling up the wires. I take a little safety pin and I stick the safety pin through the black insulator right into the wire itself. And the safety pin has a little curly thing on the end, real easy to put your ground probe on. It stands right there. Then I take the orange one, stick another safety pin in that one, put the other probe, the hot probe, the red probe into that, and then I adjust this to where I see 5 volts. And the reason I do that is that way I know I'm on the correct range to get my actual voltage that I really want, which is 1 volt, between 0.98 and 1 volt. The total voltage between idle, meaning your foot's off the gas, and full throttle, which means you got your foot to the floor, is only 4.5 to 5 volts. So we're not talking about a very big range on here. Now, you'll tell me, well, wait a minute, I can't adjust my TPS. It's not adjustable. Ah, it is adjustable. And let me show you what you do. You see this? You see this little slack in there because I haven't got the screws tight? The difference between the size of the hole in the plastic and the outside diameter of the inside of this screw, that is your adjustment. And you can adjust it. You can rotate it. If you rotate it clockwise, you're going to get a little bit more voltage. If you rotate it counterclockwise, a little less voltage. You're looking for between 0.98 and 1 volt. And when you have that, cinch this baby down. Tighten that thing up. That is correct.
How tight do you want to get it?
Tight, but you don't want to crack the plastic. It's not going anywhere. It's a very light piece. It's plastic. Now, that should give you a perfect idle, 750 to 850 RPM, depending on any other modifications that you've made. Now, you may tell me that during the time when the thing wasn't idling the way you wanted it, you went and adjusted this idle screw. Oh, that's a real problem. If we find out that you've touched this, you're in a lot of trouble. In fact, we send out the Accufab drone, and it comes down, swoops down, takes your firstborn child, and we keep them and sell them. This is not an idle screw. This set screw here is adjusted here at Accufab on a light table so that it's exactly calibrated perfectly. Because remember, this shaft has that little blade. Remember I showed you that little blade that sticks out? If you adjust this, you're adjusting the mechanical location of the shaft because it's going to rotate. And as soon as you do that, then this is off too. So first you actually have to make sure this is right. As long as you haven't touched this, it is right. Adjust this just the way I told you, you should be fine. This is a stop screw. This is where it needs to be when you take your foot off the gas, right there. If you increase this or decrease this, it's going to be wrong. 2 ways you can fix it. 1 way, just send it back to us. We'll readjust it for you, send it back to you, no charge. You pay for shipping, but no charge to do that. By the way, there's a little note that comes in the box that says don't touch that screw, but you probably didn't read that anyway, right? Because it's such an easy installation. If you did adjust it, and you don't want to take the time to send it back, I'll tell you how to fix it. Like I said, it's originally adjusted on a light table. And if you look very carefully through the hole, before you put it on the intake manifold, through the hole, you'll see all the way around the blade an air gap. It's very small, but it needs to be even all the way around this blade. And if you have screwed around with this thing and readjusted it and it's not quite right, before you do your TPS adjustment, you need to get back and get this thing correct. Your way to do it, hold it up to a light source, like a light, you know, in the room or something like that. Don't do the sun because that might blind you. With a screwdriver and readjust this thing to where it's exactly right again. That's it. Don't ever touch it again. Do your adjustment over here just like I showed you. You're going to have a perfect idle. It won't hang. It won't keep the RPM up when you've taken your foot off the gas. It'll work correctly. Can't be much easier than that. You will need this to set it correctly. Now, about 80% of the people never have a problem because they bolt the thing on and bravo. They just happen to hit it right the first time. But if yours is not right, if it seems like it hangs a little bit, do this. And by the way, after you've installed this, drive the car around a little bit first, 40, 50 miles or something like that, because actually the computer sometimes needs to relearn that it's getting more air. That's why the RPM is a little bit high. It's getting more air. The computer thinks that you got your foot on the gas even though your foot's off the gas. So that's the story. I get more calls on this problem, people not ever adjusting the TPS. I always ask them when they tell me this problem, what's your TPS voltage? First order of business they tell me is, what's a TPS? Second thing is, I have no idea. That's what the problem is. Easy enough? If I can do it, you can do it.